Well, guys, I have a confession to make. Despite how excited I was for Chapter 6, Season 4, Shock and Awesome, the fact is, after just a couple of weeks, the excitement is kind of worn off. And I have to admit, kind of getting bored with the Shock and Awesome season. Just last week I released my first video, and really, a lot of that commentary was based on my initial reaction for the season when it first launched. And I had a lot of fun my first, I'd say week or so of playing the game, maybe 10 days, give or take. But for whatever reason, I've kind of found myself very rapidly becoming bored with this season, which is something that does happen from time to time within the game of Fortnite. It's something that happened to me in Chapter 5, Season 2. It's something that happened to me in Chapter 6, Season 3. But unlike those seasons, I do think this one has potential to come back around and to kind of grow on me as the season goes on. Really, I think the thing that is hurting it the most is, number one, the bugs. I'm just kind of getting tired of the bugs. Not going to really say that they annoy me because they're not really a problem in game. They're a one shot, one kill sort of a scenario. I've never died to the bugs or even truly lost anything but my overshield to the bugs. So it's not like the bugs are a problem. I'm just tired of every time I seem to turn around and go to a new location on the map, oh, there's the bugs. I'm just tired of fighting them. I'm tired of running into them. I'm tired of trying to go and get third parties and it's really just someone shooting at bugs. I mean, I can still usually get that kill, but I'm just sort of tired about, what the bugs mean for the game. The map changes have been okay, but, not my favorite map changes that we've ever had. Especially because just about every place where the map has changed, you've got the bugs. I tend to like the OXR bases and things like that a little bit more because there aren't bugs there, at least in most of those locations. But for the most part, I kind of find myself still sort of landing where I've always landed and rotating pretty much where I've always rotated. Sometimes that does put me through the new POIs, and sometimes I just avoid them altogether. But overall, I'm kind of just bored with Chapter 6, Season 4, and honestly, I'm kind of just bored with Chapter 6 as a whole. It's kind of hard for me to admit that because Chapter 6 has been a banger of a chapter. I'm someone that started playing the game fairly late. I didn't start playing until Chapter 3. So I didn't live through the glory days of Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 the way so many other people did. But since I've started playing the game, I kind of run into this issue where toward the end of the chapter, I start to get bored, usually in Season 4. I got very bored with Chapter 3, Season 4 Paradise. I hated the chrome mechanic. Chapter 4, on the other hand, did much better in its Season 4 Last Resort. That was a lot of fun. That was probably the most fun I had that whole chapter. I also really enjoyed the Mega season, of course, but really Last Resort, man, that season really solidified me in my love for Chapter 4. Chapter 5, this is going to be a hot take, but I actually think I liked Wrecked better than I liked Absolute Doom. I've never really cared for superhero seasons. I don't really care for mythics and crazy wacky items and all that. That's why, Chapter 6, Season 3 Super didn't really do that much for me. But overall, it didn't really annoy me either. It was just sort of an average season. It was pretty good. I know a lot of people thought it was great. I'm glad that the community really enjoyed that season. And the fact that the community really enjoyed that season sort of makes the season better overall. It makes the gameplay more fun. People are excited. People are having a good time. They're enjoying themselves. But man, this Shock and Awesome, this bug infestation season, I don't know. I'm just not feeling it. And I can't really put my finger on what it is. I'm enjoying the new weapons. There's really nothing that I dislike about this season. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the bugs, as I've already stated, but it's not like I hate it or anything. The bugs are fine. it's not capturing my interest and my attention, in the way that the rest of the seasons this chapter have, even compared to, the super season. I even liked the Star Wars Galactic Battle season more than I'm enjoying Shock and Awesome. And that's not to say that I'm not having a good time. I mean, I'm still having fun when I play the game, but I just kind of find myself going, this is it, Maybe when they bring Fort Nightmares out here in a few weeks, I guess 4 weeks, 5 weeks, something like that, maybe that will be the difference maker. I will say that in Absolute Doomed in Chapter 5, once they moved into Fort Nightmares, that made me enjoy that season a whole lot more than I had at the first half of the season. And that same thing could happen here in Chapter 6. I do think that the bug infestation theme will sort of lend itself a little bit more to Fort Nightmares than what we've seen in some of the past chapters. But it really is going to hang on what they do for that event. I'm looking forward to the map changes. Last year's Fort Nightmares was pretty solid. It was one of the better Fort Nightmares, certainly the best Fort Nightmares I had experienced in my limited time playing the game. So I do have some fairly high hopes and fairly high expectations for this year's Fort Nightmares. We'll see if it lives up to what they did last year. It was about the only really good thing they did in Chapter 5, if I had to say. But other than that, I just don't feel like I have all that much to look forward to here for the rest of this chapter. I'm not looking forward to the Simpsons mini-season. Don't get me wrong, I love The Simpsons, but I just don't see how bringing The Simpsons into Fortnite is going to do anything positive for the game. If this community couldn't embrace a Star Wars season, do you really think that they're going to embrace a Simpsons season? I just don't see it working out. And I don't see it being anything more than a distraction from the game, which ultimately was kind of the issue with the Galactic Battle season. They felt like nothing but blasters was sort of a distraction from their usual gameplay. They felt like the POIs were, on the outskirts of the map. You'd land real quick and then you'd immediately have to rotate out and just move into a standard map that didn't look anything like Star Wars yet. We're using Star Wars weapons. It confused people. The season confused people, and I think that a Simpsons season is also probably going to confuse people. It's probably going to confuse the game a little bit, and it's just not going to feel like Fortnite. And I've never really been one of those people that gets on the anti-Fortnite train. And for one, I haven't been playing long enough to sort of harbor those sort of opinions. I really think that's more the OG type of opinion, people that started in the golden days, Chapter 1, Chapter 2, and they didn't like seeing what their game had become. But for me, man, I'm not looking forward to a Simpsons mini-season. I don't think it's going to be very good. I would much rather see like a separate mode as like a Simpsons mode. Many years ago, about probably over 20 years ago now, there was this game, and I can't even remember what it was called, but it was a Simpsons themed game where you were in the town of Springfield and you were a taxi driver. It was based on an arcade game called Crazy Taxi, but it was called something else, the Simpsons game. But basically you were a taxi driver and you had to pick up different characters from the Simpsons franchise and take them to wherever they needed to go in Springfield. It was a lot of fun. And I think if Epic were to recreate that game in Fortnite as its own separate mode, I think it would do very well. I think it would be a lot of fun. I think people would really, really enjoy it. But the idea of dropping into Springfield on the Chapter 6 map and having a battle royale in that town, I just don't care. I just don't care. I'm not interested in it. It'd be cool to explore the town of Springfield for sure, but it should be its own mode. It should be in like an open world mode where you can just drop in and spend as much time as you want. Simpsons in Battle Royale does not make sense to me. But I guess we will just have to see how it goes and how it plays out as time progresses. So I think because I have been so bored with this chapter, I've decided to start experimenting a little bit. And one of the things I did is I actually started to experiment with my settings, and I decided to try the linear mode instead of exponential when it comes to the sensitivity input on your controller. To the best of my recollection, I've never tried linear. If I did, it would have probably just been for like a session or something. I've pretty much been on Expo the entire time I've played Fortnite. But I made the switch. I was sort of inspired. I was watching Evolve Jake, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go and kind of just start playing with my settings. And I knew he always does setting videos, so I went back a few weeks, found his setting video for this chapter, and watched it, and was reminded of linear versus expo. So basically, for those that don't know what that is linear is when you're moving your sticks, it moves at the same rate. Whatever you set it to, that's how fast it's going to go. Whether it's a little tap or a hard tap, it's the same. Expo, it has a curve, so you could put little light taps and it'll move slower, and then the harder you move, the faster it would move. And that's always what I had played with. It's always what I was used to, and I really wasn't sure how I was going to do once I made the switch to linear. But you know what? I've been kind of enjoying it, if I have to be honest. There are moments where it's still a little weird for me. I sometimes have a hard time moving back and forth and, strafing left and right when I'm in a gunfight. But overall, I'm not going to say that it's necessarily better, but it seems to be working for me. And the more that I play with it, the better I seem to get. So I think I'm going to keep doing that throughout the rest of this season. And I may experiment with some other, settings here and there. I'm still trying to get my sensitivity just right on the linear mode. But I feel pretty comfortable where I'm at now. I'm like at 35% or something, which, Evolve Jake sets us at 40. So I'm like, okay, that's my baseline. I set it at 40. And I felt like he was maybe just a tick too fast. So I bumped it down a little bit, and it seems to be working pretty well. I seem to be doing okay, more or less. Because what I would find is when I get in these gunfights, especially really close range gunfights, I felt like I was moving way too slow if I had to turn around. Whereas in long range, if I bumped it up, I was all over the place and I couldn't keep my target on my opponent. But making the switch linear, it seems to be the way to go. Well, anyway, guys, sorry for sort of a random, ramble. I didn't really know what I wanted to say today. I just sort of let it all come out. But that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.